Richer economies have halted in an effort to contain the spread of the coronavirus, but several low and middle income countries have said they can't afford to stop. It has been found in a recent study by UBS, the Swiss bank, that though emerging nations are only moderately affected, India has become an exception, being the only emerging nation being extremely strict on mobility restrictiveness. In Turkey, people are still working even as the cases rise, and Pakistan has left open its textile industry. The worst affected countries are those where average temperature is below 17 degrees Celsius and are mostly the developed countries of Northern Hemisphere. The worst financial fallout will, however, be in the warmer emerging nations. The full damage hasn't been assessed, but the daily losses are evident. The United States has seen stock hit a bottom of 35% below their all-time highs, barely half as bad as in 2008. Many major emerging markets like Brazil, Turkey, and Mexico have fallen more than 70% from their all-time high. The emerging countries now face the 8th global recession in the past century. If these nations impose lockdowns, their weak welfare system will not be able to support unemployed workers for long. There are now around 2 billion people facing joblessness without any benefits. Emerging nations are announcing more modest stimulus programs compared to the developed nation, roughly 1 to 3% of their economic output. If they decide to borrow more heavily, then they risk losing their investors, resulting in a collapse in the currency and maybe a financial crisis. Now, the frightened investors are weakening the currencies of the emerging economies by going for the relative safety of the US dollar, further undermining the nation's ability to pay their dues. Ever since the outbreak, the IMF, that is International Monetary Fund, has seen requests by 80 countries for emerging financial help, with the main concern now being if the fund $1 trillion war chest will be enough to cope. Global trade, as it showed after 2008, did not severely affect the large emerging economies like India, Indonesia, and Brazil, as they were partly shielded by a strong demand for domestic consumers. The pandemic, however, has shut down domestic commerce as well. Several leaders of the emerging nations are counting on warm weather and youth to slow the virus spread. They have almost no other choice but to hope that nature will be their defense. Some have accepted a dark reality. Given that the shutdowns will be painful for their people, they can only be limited war to contain the spread of the virus.
Hello guys, the ebook for the month of December is available on our website. Get an exclusive discount of 30%. Use the code CFA30.